What's your most embarrassing sex story?
Like and subscribe, or else these'll be in your bed tonight.
My girlfriend and I went on a picnic by canoe out to an island where there would have been no one around for at least a few kilometers. Long story short, she starts giving me a blowjob, which went on for a few minutes until I start to hear a strange noise getting louder. All of a sudden a search and rescue helicopter flies over the tree line and comes to a stop above us. It stayed there for a few seconds before turning around and flying back in the direction it came from. Turn back. Was going really hard. Pushed a little bit too hard and farted right as I came. A girlfriend might have laughed it off. My Tinder date did not. I'm just imagining the sound effects, and can't stop laughing, smiley face. Was home for summer from college. My neighbor and I had been secretly hooking up for a little bit, and she had been over a few days before when my parents were gone. Came home one day, and my mom was staring daggers at me. She said, "You have a mess to clean up," because I'm not doing it. I had no clue what she was talking about. Then she said to go look under the dining room table. Underneath it was a used condom that I had thrown into the bathroom trash can wrapped in toilet paper. My dog thought it would be cool to bring it downstairs and chew on it under the table. The family dog is always the biggest snitch, and I will not be convinced otherwise. My GF and I suffered through a 9-month long distance relationship, and one time after a long travel day to see her, I was going down on her. Well, jet lag hit me pretty hard and I fell asleep, face down in between her legs. No greater place to fall asleep. Lol. Once dated a chef. One night when he made dinner he went way too heavy on the cayenne pepper to season the chicken, with his bare hands, if you see where this is going. Later things get steamy, and within 2 seconds of him fingering me, I jump up screaming in pain as it feels like someone opened up the gates of hell in my vag. I spent the next hour hovering over the bidet naked while flushing out my area with milk, and we're laughing about it until his roommate decides to open the bathroom door without knocking and just stares at us. Was going hard on her when I heard the bug out guy spray my windows. I thought the curtains were closed, so I kept going at it. They weren't. Drunk at a house party. Blowing my high school boyfriend in his very messy room. Gag reflex starts kicking in pretty hard. I've got a bunch of semen in my mouth. The room is dark and I'm stumbling over junk on the floor when I lose balance. Struggling not to hurl, after swimming 6 Keystone Lights, from my throat going into overload, I had my hands over my mouth. I didn't catch myself before impact. Smacked the bridge of my nose into a dresser drawer knob, bloody it, and effectively shoot a mix of blood and semen out of my face. Out of some weird place inside me. I usually laugh when I get hurt in some dumb way, like I am my own personal episode of Jackass, but it's in first person. Boyfriend hit the lights and sees me giggling on the floor using my t-shirt to wipe my face off. He was not laughing in the slightest. Or the time I accidentally tangled my leg in a sheet, pulled to free myself, and kicked a guy square in the nards. That was pretty bad. With an ex-GF of mine a few years back, whenever we wanted to get down to business we usually put something on Netflix in the background. That day we put on Planet Earth. Anyways, right when we were really getting going, we heard an ungodly noise coming from the TV, and we proceeded to watch David Attenborough narrate the mating process of Bactrian camels, which involved slapping their own asses with their tails. We burst into laughter and couldn't continue. Tried to pick a girl up and lay her down on a bed. Failed miserably. It was dark. We were slightly drunk. Slammed her head onto bedside table and knocked her out. 15 years later, she still sends an occasional selfie wearing a helmet. Lost balance taking off skinny jeans, foot wouldn't come out in time and smashed a mirror with my face. At least something got to smash that night. We were staying with my boyfriend's family for Christmas. It was my first time meeting them. The second night of our stay, I sneaked out of my boyfriend's room with only his big hoodie on after sexy times to pee. His mother was standing behind the toilet door when I came out and said, "You know, these walls are very thin. Anyway, you want something to eat?" Tinder date got off onto my floor of my apartment building but was fucking wasted and forgot which apartment was mine, so she started yelling my name as loud as she could. I opened my door to see all my neighbors standing in their doorway staring at her. She had a 6-pack of wine coolers in one hand and her heels in another. I told her to get in my apartment quickly and started apologizing to everyone else. Most just rolled their eyes and shut their doors, but the dude across the hall started clapping. Thanks 8F. She is on top. Then I get the most painful leg cramp in my hamstrings, so much I yelled in pain. She started panicking as she thought she broke my penis. My husband and I were going at it doggy style, and things were going very well. I started to have an orgasm, and due to the angle and the pressure, the world's longest fart slipped out. So I start to laugh. So I'm coming, laughing and farting all at the same time. My hubby took it like a champ and laughed with me until I calmed down. MMF threesome. We're all on our bed and she's on top of him going at it reverse cowgirl. I stand up on the bed for her to blow me and as I'm standing up they both yell my name in the ceiling fan. Before I could react, whop, 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 on my forehead that left a good sized slice although nothing that required stitches. Had a large family event the next day that required some creative explanation for the gauze pad taped to my noggin. You got into a fight with a lawnmower? And you won. When my wife and I were teenagers we were about to have sex on her bed. Teenage boy hormones in full force, pants around my ankles, standing on the bed and I take a step back and I slip. My foot goes through the gap between her mattress and her bed frame and I fall backwards. My hand hits her ceiling fan, my back slides down her dresser, and my head hits her floor. I'm laying on the floor in a daze figuring out what happened and she's just on her bed laughing at me. To this day she will have moments where she starts dying laughing just thinking about it. I was having sex with my ex-boyfriend for the second time while on vacation. I got super nauseous during it because we were drinking a ton and I have a sensitive stomach. Ended up naked, on all fours, throwing up all over the floor with him trying to comfort me. To make it worse, he freaked out and went, "Are you pregnant?" Because movies always show the girl throwing up after sex when she's pregnant. One night my BF and I were at a bar and drinking a lot and we thought it would be a good idea to go to Camaro to fuck. This was in the late 90s or early 2000s and I was wearing one of those long skirts with really high slits on both sides. So basically even if you thought the skirt was scrunched up it really was just the front or back part. So we finish up and go back inside. This was a bar and not a club so it was fairly lit. I almost immediately run into a group of girls I went to high school with. We were not really friends so I assumed the conversation was strained and awkward because of the hollow catching up. Shortly after I escaped and went to the bathroom. I basically had smeared cum all over my skirt. It was a combo of mine and his. On the front panel of skirt. Like literally on the bottom. On the top. From being bunched up it was all over the inside of the back, it was everywhere. I was so embarrassed. When my girlfriend saw my dick for the first time. She said, "Aw, it's so cute." I didn't know how to react. My BF and I had only been together for a few weeks at this point. We were having sexy times at my house, cause we had a few hours before my younger brother got home from school. It was loud and fun, when I saw a shadow pass my window. My room was next to the front door, so I saw when people came to the door. Brother had come home 2 hours early. Because it was a half day. He shouts hi, and starts down the stairs to make sure I was home. I hop off of BF, and dive under the blankets, and yell "Don't come in." He pauses at the door, hears my BF laughing his ass off, and throws the door open. Once he realized what was going on, he decided to make me super embarrassed. If you've ever seen the scene from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when Will catches his mom in bed with a guy, "Mama no ooh oh," that's what brother did. And sat on my bed, effectively holding me hostage, talking to my BF like I wasn't naked and tomato-faced. We still joke about it, and I don't think I'll ever live it down. Freshman year in the dorms, one of the last days of the semester, a girl on a different floor invites me to come to her room and hang out. I obviously know what she's trying to do so I ask her if her roommate is gone. She says she left for the semester. So I go down and get to her room, and we get started. We start talking a little, then started kissing, then she starts sucking me off. And in a matter of minutes, I hear a card hit the scanner and the door opens to her roommate and her roommate's mom. Door swings open and within seconds they slam it shut. I get dressed and walk out the door, while they're still just standing there in shock. As I walk away, I hear a roommate's mom start raising her voice saying, "Are you serious? You have got to be kidding me," and stuff like that. Walking back to my dorm on my floor, I'm not wearing boxers and my shorts were slightly wet from her slobber all over my dick. People definitely saw and knew it was up. As for the girl who I was with, her roommate's mom basically kept calling her a slut and didn't let her daughter dorm with her this semester. Like, okay Karen, your daughter has had more sex than me, chill. This is not really a sex story, it's more of a story that meant there was no sex. Long story short, I almost had a threesome with a couple I knew but I was too scared so I went to their toilet and climbed out of the tiny window and ran home. The worst thing is that I worked with one of them so had to face that the Monday after. Husband has epilepsy. Husband and I throw down and are having a great time when he gets the idea to change positions and rolls us over. He promptly smacks his head off the bedside table and has an immediate seizure. NSFW fact, penises go flaccid when you have a fit pericoitus. Had to explain the mechanism of injury to paramedics and several doctors as he got his noggin looked at. 0-10 do not recommend. I once was deleting old text message threads, and I checked what was in them first so I didn't lose anything important. In one of my family group's texts I found that a few months prior I had accidentally sent a photo of myself balls deep in a guy. I was truly mortified. To this day no one has ever said anything about it.